Hello, go ahead and write down your identifying information for the great altar of Zeus and Athena at Pergamon. This is in Asia Minor, which is present-day Turkey. This is considered Hellenistic Greek. That's the most important thing we need to know about this, okay? We need to be able to know what is archaic Greek, what is classical Greek, and what is Hellenistic Greek. You need to know that more so than the date, 175 BCE. And this is marble, and this piece has two photographs. It has the actual architecture, this altar, and then the sculpture on the altar are these relief carvings. And so all of this is made out of marble. All right, here is your context. Go ahead and write your context down. So Pergamon was a kingdom in modern day Turkey, and this monument was built in Pergamon after the victory of the Pergamon king over the Gauls. So the Acropolis is all about, the buildings on the Acropolis, like the Parthenon, is all about the defeat of the Persians. This one is about the defeat of the Gauls. This was part of a massive government and religious palace complex on the Acropolis, but not the Acropolis from Athens. This is the Acropolis in Pergamon. I tried to put a picture. Yeah, so here it is. So remember, Acropolis is just a high city. It's an elevated, fortified, walled city. So here's a picture of the altar that is on that Acropolis. All right, just so you know, I mean, because right now the altar is in a museum, right? So how did it get from an Acropolis, the whole thing, into a museum? So we don't need to write this down, but the altar was removed from Pergamon in the 19th century due to conflict in the region. It was mostly dismantled to reuse the stone for defensive purposes and building materials. So whatever they were able to get back, they took it to Berlin and they reassembled the remaining pieces to be what we see today. All right, function. This was an altar. This altar was an elaborate setting for sacrifices to the gods. And then we can write this, label this on your photograph, an ionic. So ionic refers to, you can see, oh, wait a second. Put myself back up there. How do I get back up there? All right, ionic, make fists, put those next to your head. All right, when we're thinking of our different columns, we have Doric, Ionic, Corinthian kind of flares out. So these curl in, so this is Ionic. So it's Ionic colonnade. It just refers to that type of architecture. The sculptural frieze, it's larger than life, like 7.5 feet high. That's how tall those sculptures are. It's got a 20-foot platform going all the way up. All right, so this is all for form. The figures on the frieze, like I just said, they're over life size, larger than life. The frieze, so this sculptural part that wraps around the entire thing, is made of over 100 marble relief panels. So you can kind of see lines. So each of those is a panel that's been put together. This is a great example of the Hellenistic period because they are sculpted in such high relief. Some of them actually spill out, and I circled it here, spill out onto the stairs. So the sculpture actually, and I'll go back to that, actually comes out into the viewer's space. So here's some example of what that looks like as you're walking up these stairs. The figures are writhing, they're twisting, they're straining, they're depicting in their faces violence, emotion. Everything is very theatrical, expressive gestures and facial expressions. And there's a lot of crisscrossing diagonals to help create dynamic composition. So we're going to draw the diagonals on our picture. But I always tell my art students, if they want to make something dynamic, have some diagonal lines in there. So if you look at this, right, diagonal line from that leading line from the leg, that leg here, kind of going up into the arm, diagonal line down into the leg. This whole body is a diagonal line coming into this arm. It's just crisscrossing diagonal lines. So the picture that we have is Athena battling the giants. Yeah, so go ahead and draw these crisscrossing dynamic lines on your artwork. I'd use a highlighter for mine. All right, content. What is this piece about and what is it a metaphor for? So I want you to write that question and we're going to answer it from watching the Khan Academy video.
Frieze. So what's going on here is a battle between the giants and the gods and goddesses of Mount Olympus. We're witnessing a celestial battle of enormous proportions.
This is the great mythic battle where the giants battle the Olympian gods for supremacy of the earth and the universe. So let's take a close look at it. Let's start with the fragment that has Athena at its center. She is graceful and beautiful even as she battles a ferocious giant, a titan.
It's clear who's going to win. Athena looks totally in control. She's grabbed Alcyoneus by the hair, pulling him out of the earth, disempowering him. His mother on the other side, completely unable to help him, although she's wild with fear over what's about to happen to her son.
Look at the way the artist, whoever it is, has actually constructed this image. My eye starts with Athena herself, where her head would have been. My eye rides down that beautiful arm until it's grasped almost tenderly by Alcyoneus. It continues around his elbow and then across his face and down his chest. I notice that one of Athena's snakes is biting him on his right side. My eye then sweeps down that gorgeous curve that is his body, his torso, that leads into his leg, but it's slowed down by almost the staccato of the intersections of the deeply carved drape that belongs to Athena. And of course, that all leads us right back to Alcyoneus' mother.
So it's as though Athena, this powerful, in control goddess, is bracketed on either side by these passionate, wild figures who are being defeated.
All right, so hopefully you wrote some information down about the battle that this is depicting. This is also referred to as this word here. How would you pronounce that word? Giganotomy. Yeah. So that means gods in combat with giants. And we actually see this. We see it here in the altar of Zeus and Athena at Pergamon, but then we also see it in the metopes from the Parthenon. You see this epic battle of the gods defeating the giants, the titans. And so this is actually a metaphor. It signifies the victory of Pergamon and the superiority of Greek culture over the barbarian, non-Greek speaking Gauls from Northern Europe. All right, that is, yep, well, that is all.